Welcome to Graham Kerr's Kitchen. It's really two programs in one. This is a series that appeals to your creative side. Food that is sumptuous stuff. How could that be? This is a program about people who want to eat healthy and reduce calories. Actually, it's about food with an aromatic quality that fills the nose. Oh, sure. But it's also about keeping my arteries clean by reducing fat. But it doesn't mean a thing if the food isn't rich and colorful. Maximize the flavor. Okay, but I must have healthy food that I can cook in minutes. I must minimize the risk. So welcome to Graham Kerr's Kitchen, where we get our heads together just for you. Well, ho, 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 it's nearly here. If you've done your shopping, now you can spend some time making Christmas cookies and delivering them to your neighbors. Isn't that the way that's done? Good. You know, I worked out, and this is what I'm going to do today, by the way, cookies, and a basic method of cooking, which is going to be meringue. And meringue can be used for all kinds of purposes, but for cookies are just great. You know, I did a little bit of a survey on this and found out that we can actually put on quite a lot of weight over the Christmas period. Now, big smile, you see, no suggestion that it's wrong. I don't want to stop anything from happening that you would like to happen over Christmas, so no Scrooge stuff, all right? But you can put over 16,000 calories, 16 to 17,000 calories over the Christmas period. And you know what I found out? A lot of them come from cookies. You know, that perpetual motion, sort of grab another cookie. So I'm going to show you some cookies here which are quite low in calories. What I'm going to do, these have got a kind of chocolate topping to the meringue, and it's got nuts in it and all over the top, and they're rather fun. And the other one is not quite so brilliantly red as this, but I don't have a sort of a way of doing it, but cranberries nestling down into kind of nut bar, and a jam-topped tartlet, which brings me back to the time of my youth in England and all the rest of the stuff. Little jam tartlets are quite the thing, you know. Ready for this? I know cookies are not my normal style, but come on, let's have fun. Of course, what I love to do always then is just check that the heats are on and everything, you know, the pans are hot. There's nothing hot here at all. It's all cool. So, well, let's take a look at these cookies first of all. Now, these are the type of cookies which your neighbor, if they truly love you or if they haven't seen you all year long, they will at least come along and say, "Hi, happy Christmas, and this is for you," or they'll leave it on your doorstep. And these are typical of that sort of thing. It's a very nice thing for people to do, the pinwheel and the little jelly top one, and this is a nut bar. Now, let's look at these. Now, this is kind of, I don't know how to describe it, yuppie stuff. This is, you see, the colors are rather nice, all muted and not quite so bright and vivid, but these are really different, and these, I'll show you the numbers later on, are rather fun. Okay, how to make meringue. First of all, if you take, and you'll need eggs for this, and what I do, you see, I take a knife blade like this and just tap the egg. Don't tap it too far, otherwise you'll go straight through. And then you can open that up, and it's usually pretty easy to shovel that backwards and forwards without rupturing the egg yolk itself. Now, another way is to get a piece of equipment like this one, which is actually an egg separator. So you can just, that you still really need to be sure that you don't have a very rough edge from around the outside, and always pour it over this thing which is straight. Okay, so by this separator just gently cradles the egg and allows the egg white to drift off, and then you've got a relatively white-free yolk which is left there. A good temperature at which to do this, by the way, is at cool temperatures to separate them, but then at room temperatures to beat them, which is a bit difficult. So, I mean, you could beat them in the cool and then leave them around in the kitchen, let them warm up when you're getting the other ingredients. Okay, I've got three here, 3 egg whites, and pop those into a bowl. Now, big thing here. If there's a speck of fat, just a speck, if that had ruptured, that egg yolk had ruptured, and just got a speck of fat there, then the whole egg white, which could be like this, you see, then go down to about two-thirds, you know, lose two-thirds of the volume and you'll be very disappointed. So you get a speck of, either nick the speck out so you don't see anything, or just, you'll have to toss it out. Now make sure, absolutely grease-free, nothing on the beaters, all perfectly okay. Now, into this, I want to start this off first of all. Put this down and whiz it round to about number 7 on here. Want to get a little bit of froth going to begin with. Now there's protein, several proteins there, and now mixing around so that the air and the water are beginning to start to be encapsulated. That's when you get the little bubbles. All right, now let's just stop that for a second. Here then I got cream of tartar. You know when you make wine and then you ferment wine and then what's left over, one of the byproducts left over is cream of tartar. And it's acidity. You can buy it in a little bottle like that one. And you just simply drop in 1/4 teaspoonful for 3 eggs. It's usually about 1/16. It gets the pH content adjusted. It goes from 8 to 9. So this is now whizzing up through here. Okay. Now also in there, I want 3/4 teaspoonful of almond essence. So 1, 2, 3. 3/4 teaspoonfuls. All right. And you can smell that, it's just wonderful. By the way, it's 1/2 teaspoonful of the cream of tartar, not mind. Okay, now, here goes the sugar. The sugar is added at the beginning part of beating if you're using one of these beaters, electric beaters. But if you're using a copper bowl or hand beating it, then you'd add the sugar at the end. And the reason for that is because it doubles the amount of time, almost, that you need to beat the sugar into the egg whites. And that makes it a rather aerobic exercise. I've got a fellow called Dalton. He calls himself Pete. Pete Loving. Thanks, Pete, by the way. He sent me a copper whisk to go with a copper bowl. The copper has the same effect as a cream of tartar. And that's the reason why it allows you to be able to beat things up without overdoing it. Just thought you'd like to know about that. Okay, this is doing well now, so why don't we go off whilst this is all just beating and have a look at the way it used to be, about 100 years ago, when we used to have to go out and chop down wood and do all of these activities, and we could eat that number of cookies without any trouble at all. That was really what I call hard work. By the way, this isn't quite so much hard work. I've noticed this is my supermarket, but I don't own it. I mean, this is where I shop. And I've noticed that they have broken cookies, you know, and they put a little basket out here, and the kids around here go straight away, come in and say, "Excuse me, Mummy." I don't know where they say, "Excuse me," but anyway, they come in here. These are M&M cookies. I'm eating this just once on camera because I don't get a chance to do this very often. So, Christmas, is it the sort of thing you do? I have friends in, and they come round, and you want to be able to give them a treat somehow. So you make cookies for them. Or you come, if you don't have the time to make cookies, you come here, and at Christmas time, this place is awash with the greatest kind of Christmas cookies you ever saw in your whole life. And we made really well. And or you can buy great cookies up here, but they're going to run 30 to 90 calories a cookie sometimes, these. Isn't it possible to make them a little less? That's what Graham's doing at the present moment. So why not make it something at home? You know, we don't get much activity. I mean, we did, Trina and I, trying to saw down that tree. By the way, it was a dead tree that we were sawing down. And that was fun. That was what it used to be in the old days, but now we don't get so much. So why not just get the family together, make cookies, and be able to release them. And you could even bring them around and give them to the bakery department. They'd love to be able to copy them. By the way, this is where I get my egg white. Isn't it? Yeah, that's right. This is where I get my egg white here. If you don't want to crack all the eggs and throw away the yolks or give them to the dog, because then the dog gets fat even if it can handle the cholesterol, don't worry about it. Just come here, bring a container, they'll put it into there, put a sticker on it, and then charge you for it. I hope that happens in your supermarket. This is such a good place to shop. Okay, back to you, Graham. Thanks so much. Good. All right. Well, now this is just perfect. So stop it and check it. Now, if you take just this amount, you take a good piece on the end of a stick or whatever, and just watch that end dangly bit there. That should be able, when you turn it, to not fall away. That's called peaks. And so that's peaking really well. Okay, now, just 1/3 of a cup of chopped almonds go into here. And leave back a couple of tablespoons full. I'll show you that on the other side. Okay, so that's done. Then just lift. That's what I need. One of those knocked out. All right. What we've got here then is I want to take half this quantity and pop this into one of these bags. All right. So just about half that, and it's really nice and stiff and really good. So this is going to be piped for the bottom part of one of the cookies. So always fold the top down like that so that when you pull this up, you don't have gunk on the inside. So you can then fold it like this and then just squeeze the air out and squeeze the meringue down to the bottom there, and then just give it a little twist. It all comes out onto the board. Good. So that's the first one. And then the second one, I just want to be able to take 2 tablespoons full of what we call Dutched cocoa. This is a low-acid cocoa powder, and it's a European technique of doing that. And let me see whether I can do this with just one. Okay. Whoop. Do it a little bit slower than you would normally do, and don't overbeat it. That's as much as I would like to be able to do it. And then just simply scrape that up. Make sure that there's no loose chocolate or loose cocoa powder in it. Just, actually, it's rather nice because it's got little swirl of the white in it. Moments like these, you create new ideas. And then scoop this up and put this into another bag. Now, of course, I've only used 3 egg whites here, but if you wanted to use more than 3 egg whites, you'll have a whole bag full and be able to do it nicely. Again, the fold, and be careful how you shake it now, because it will come out. And just put it round. You've got to get one of these, and get a 14-inch piping bag. You might as well have a bigger one than a smaller one. All right, good. Now, let's have a look and see how this is going to come together. Got a sheet of greaseproof paper over here, and my grandkids love doing this. This is their fun. Then you just, for these are the meringues which we're going to make into like mushrooms, all right? And these here, oh, that's an intriguing one. These are flatter, and these are the jam tart ones, so that they're done around like this. Good. And you can get huge amounts of these, make up a nice batch. Now with this is the chocolate portion, and you just simply rest it on the top and just press in. And you're sort of injecting that meringue with chocolate in the inside, and it falls a little bit, but it looks rather nice. And then this one here, you bake these off for 15 minutes at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Then you bring them out and you squirt some jam into them. I've used my hyper marinade idea here because it's kind of fun. And actually, if you make meringues all the way through, you can inject a seedless jam into the bottom of them. And it go crunch, and then the jam fills your mouth. It's terrific. And a little bit of the crumpled nuts on the outside, and those are the 2 tablespoons full I'd left behind. So 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Pop them into the oven. After 250 for half an hour, then turn the oven off and leave it for another half an hour. So half an hour on, half an hour off, okay? And they'll come out and they'll look like this. Now, we'll look at those in a moment or two, but they spread out a little bit and they lower down and they're very crisp. I've used 4 tablespoons full of icing sugar, of the confectioner's sugar, for every egg white. So that makes it very hard. If you use 2, it makes them softer and chewier. All right. Now, other one. It's exactly the same mix. Just get an 8x8 pan like this one. Put meringue in the bottom of that. And then onto the top of this, if I can just stick this on, I've got some hazelnuts. I want to run those around. Hazelnuts are these great nuts like this, and they should be just thrown through a chopping device until they've still got lots of texture to them, so that they're really chewy if you like nuts. And you can do them a little bit more if you'd like them to be a little less chewy than that. Take half of those, you've got half a cup of nuts, and put in a quarter of a cup of these wonderful, I've really fallen in love with these now. These, well, it's a stupid thing to say, but I mean, I enjoy them. These are dried cranberries and called craisins by some people. So a quarter cup of those in the middle, like so. And then with the same egg white that we had before, then you pipe backwards and forwards over the top, because this is a way of getting this done quite easily. And pipe it back and forth. Now this is before you put the nuts in it, okay? So make this up before you put the nuts in. And squeeze it out all over the top like that. And then take one of these, plastic fellas, and just scrape it over the top. Just fill in the sides like this. No sizzle! I want some sizzle! And just pour it all over. Good. Now that's completely topped there. And then take the rest of the nuts on the top and throw them over the surface. Now this one, put this in the same heat oven, and then bring it out after a half an hour, and take a knife and mark it out into the square sizes that you want to be able to serve it. Then put it back in. Now the 1.5 hours, it actually goes back in for another half an hour at the heat, and then you leave it for 1.5 hours to dry out in the oven, okay? I mean, that's okay. I mean, if you're not using the oven for other things, most people don't, except at Christmas time. So that goes in, and we can pull the other one out, and that's what that looks. So we've got those two. Now, big thing. Because you'll be making quite a bunch of these, get an airtight container and several discs of white paper. Just cut the discs nicely. And then you can take these and peel them off and put them down into, they'll stick just a little bit, don't worry about that one. Just pop them into the top and put a layer of paper over the top and then the next layer on top. They'll keep for over a week that way, providing people don't come and eat them. And the numbers are fantastic. They really are. By the way, just one quick thing that I hope to be able to promote here, and that's the idea. This is very good. This must fit nice and tightly before you actually, when you buy a thing like that, make sure it fits nice and tight, because it'll loosen up. It's like a shoe after a while. All right. It's this. You see this stuff here? This is a meringue mix, and it's for professionals, and they use this one. And it's egg white powdered and sugar combined. And I think that would be a wonderful thing if it was available to us to be able to make meringue cookies like this. So what you do is you go and talk to your friendly supermarket guy and tell him, hey, Graham said I was to come and talk to you about this product, and they got it over in the bakery. Why can't we have it in the shelves? You see, big thing. And this is the little tiny one of this, the grandchild, and this is where I take this to the bakery department, and the lady that we met in the little film, and she fills that up for me, so I get my egg white without having to get the eggs yolks. All right, let's take this through, and I'll show you the numbers. Come on. Well, here we go. Now, I'm the first person to admit that these are colourful, and they're practically indestructible too. If they had a little, bit of, that clear plastic stuff over the top of them on my doorstep, I think, well, isn't that nice? Now, if I look at these, I think, that's a bit different. These are earth tones. You could say, we don't cut down trees and everything else, and we make cookies like these. Oh, it rhymes. So let's have a look at the numbers, and I'll show you actually how it works. I've laid these out. First time I've been able to do that. Well, it's kind of fun. Let me just point out a couple of things to you. First of all, here, these 60 calories and 46 calories, it doesn't take long for the imagination to come up to say that if you keep on perpetual motioning, during, have a cookie, like this, and one thing leads to another. But here's the time when I don't like it. It's when it's 43% fat and 59% fat. Look at this. These are 22% fat and 24% fat, but look how low the calories go. This is an 11-calorie cookie, this little one here. Earth tones at 11 calories. And what's more interesting about the whole thing is that actually fills up. The incredible part about it, it fills your mouth with a flavor, and it seems to me at least that it doesn't drive you back for another shot. Now, manufacturers have to be able to get you to go on from one to another to another. Oh, it's crunchy, and you can toast the chocolate, and the nuts are there as well. I've got enough. I'm ready to chew. This is 11 calories of chew. Good. Do try them, as well as these. Try a new system this time. Well, since it's Christmas, I thought we'd have a poem. Isn't this nice? We all have poems at Christmas, but this comes in very well with something that I always wanted to tell you. This is called Methuselah. And by the way, this comes from Bet. Bet, you're from Rome. Arrivederla, huh? Methuselah ate what he found on his plate, and never, as people do now, did he note the amount of the calorie count. He ate it because it was chow. He wasn't disturbed as at dinner he sat devouring a roast or a pie to think it was lacking in granular fat or a couple of vitamins shy. He cheerfully chewed each species of food, unmindful of troubles or fears, lest his health may be hurt by some fancy dessert. And he lived over 900 years. Well, it's true. Well, it is in Methuselah's case. I don't know whether he had that kind of diet. I think he probably had some reasonable restrictions, and certainly not much pollution. But I don't think that his children lived 900 years, and that brings me to the point I'd like to make with you today. Just recently, at a famous university, did a test to find out where people's food habits came from. So if they ate a lot of fat, why was that? Were they meat and veg people, and to meat and to veg, and why was that? And you know what came out? It was actually found in a huge percentage of these students that it was because of dad, because of what the father in the family ate was what actually triggered ongoing food habits with the children. And the only reason, the hypothesis basically underneath this study was this: because mother went to such a lot of trouble satisfying dad in what he seemed to want to eat, that therefore the children watched this and thought, that's control. Hey, I can actually have got some leverage here. I can work on mum, and that will obviously work well. I looked into it and found out that an average woman in her lifetime cooking at home, if you're average, and I'm sure you're not average, but if you cook at home 45,000 meals in your lifetime, you'll spend 11% of every waking moment of your life either shopping, cooking, or serving and washing up from, don't wash up. If you cook, then get him to wash up. And probably at the cost of about $300,000. That is an awful lot of one's life spent caring for someone else. So I'm not really surprised that children found out that what dad ate was what they wanted to be able to copy later on in their life. Now, dads, if you happen to be watching at the moment, and if not, tell him, see the importance of eating a low-fat meal, fresh and wonderful. Why? There's good health for your kids involved in that. How's that for Christmas? Oh, I tell you what, there is a taste of the nuts, and it's chewy and it's satisfying. I don't feel like I want to go back for another one just yet. Now, there's nothing wrong with it, but just fresh and nice. Have a happy Christmas. God bless you.